The sun was setting over Piazza Navona, casting golden shadows across the cobblestone streets of Rome. Tourists moved like waves in every direction, laughing, snapping photos, chasing the moment. But Can Yaman wasn't chasing a tourist's thrill. He was looking for her. He didn't even know why he came here today. Something had pulled him, something old, something unfinished. His black sunglasses couldn't hide the storm brewing in his eyes. He scanned every face in the crowd, every silhouette. And in his mind, only one name repeated like a broken record. Demet. Months had passed since they last saw each other. No calls. No messages. Just silence. After everything, the shared dreams, the unspoken promises, they had become strangers. Or at least, that's what he told himself. But he didn't believe it. As he walked slowly through the square, flashes of the past overwhelmed him. The way she used to smile when no one was looking. The laughter that echoed between takes on set. The way her hand always found his, even in silence. He should have forgotten by now. But he hadn't. A group of fans noticed him, excited, screaming his name. Can. Just one picture, please. He smiled politely. He posed. He did what he always did. But inside, he was miles away. As soon as the flash went off, he stepped back into the crowd, his eyes scanning once more, searching, hoping, maybe even praying. Then, he froze. A few steps ahead, someone turned the corner. Brown hair pulled into a soft bun. A white coat. Graceful, familiar. Too familiar. It was her. His breath caught. Demet. She hadn't seen him, or maybe she had. She walked quickly, her head slightly tilted down, her pace steady, unbothered. But Can felt his pulse racing. He followed without thinking. Every step was like chasing a ghost. The noise around him faded. All he could hear was the sound of his own heart, pounding in his chest. She stopped suddenly. Right in front of a street violinist playing a haunting melody. And then, she turned. Their eyes met. The world stopped. For a second, maybe less, everything they had been through came rushing back. The love. The pain. The silence. Can took a step forward. But Demet blinked, turned around, and started walking again. No smile. No words. Just distance. He could have called her name. But he didn't. Instead, he just stood there, in the middle of the crowd, watching the only woman who ever truly knew him disappear into the city. And that's when it hit him. She had seen him. She had felt it. But she wasn't ready. Not yet. It had started like a fairy tale. They weren't supposed to fall in love, not really. It was a contract, a show, a role to play. But between camera flashes and late-night rehearsals, something real had taken root. Can still remembered the first time he realized he loved her. It wasn't during a grand romantic moment. It was small, almost forgettable. They had just finished filming a long emotional scene, and Demet had taken off her heels and sighed in relief. She sat on the edge of the trailer, swinging her feet, biting into a half-melted chocolate bar she found in her bag. Her hair was a mess, makeup slightly smudged. And she looked at him. No words. Just that look. And he knew. She was it. But love isn't always enough. Not in their world. The pressure from producers, fans, networks, everyone wanted something from them. Public appearances. Fake smiles. Constant speculation. Every touch between them was analyzed. Every absence was turned into a headline. Still, they held on, for a while. They carved out stolen moments in quiet apartments and dim hotel rooms. They had a secret language, inside jokes only they understood. On the outside, they looked like co-stars. But behind closed doors, they were everything. Until that night. Until the message. It had arrived on Demet's phone at 2:13 a.m. She was sleeping next to Can in his apartment in Istanbul. The soft light from the screen had woken him up. She didn't stir. She was dreaming, peaceful, vulnerable. Can had glanced at the phone. A name he didn't expect. Arda. An old flame. A mistake, she'd once said. Someone she had cut out of her life. But the message was anything but innocent. I still think about you. Every night. I shouldn't say this, but I miss you. Can hadn't touched the phone. He hadn't even woken her. Instead, he got up. He walked to the balcony, lit a cigarette he hadn't smoked in months, and stared at the city lights until the sun came up. He didn't ask her about it the next morning. Not then. But it planted something. Doubt. And doubt spreads like fire. From that night on, things began to change. He became distant. Short-tempered. She noticed. She asked. He denied it. Over and over again. But love doesn't survive on lies. They began arguing. Not about the message. Not directly. But about everything else. The dishes. The scripts. The time they spent apart. One night, after another exhausting fight, Demet screamed, "Why won't you talk to me? Just tell me what's wrong." And Can, finally, exploded. I saw the message. The silence that followed was deafening. Demet's face went pale. You went through my phone? I didn't go through it. It lit up right next to me. What was I supposed to do? Pretend I didn't see it? Her voice trembled. It was nothing. I didn't even answer him. But you kept it. You didn't delete it. Because I forgot. It meant nothing. He didn't believe her. Or maybe, he didn't want to. Because part of him had always been afraid she'd outgrow him. That the fairy tale would end. That he would be the one left behind. So he left first. Packed a bag. Slammed the door. Didn't look back. And Demet? She didn't chase him. Months passed. Publicly, they were on a break. Privately, they were completely shattered. Can threw himself into projects. New shows, commercials, interviews. He smiled in front of cameras. But inside, he was hollow. Demet did the same. She posted glamorous photos. Attended premieres. But at night, she would still check her phone, wondering if maybe, just maybe, he would text. He never did. Until one night, he nearly did. Can sat in his hotel room in Madrid. It was raining. A movie was playing on TV, but he wasn't watching. He picked up his phone. Opened the message app. Typed. Do you still think of me? And stared at it. His thumb hovered over send. But he didn't. He deleted it. Seconds later, Demet's phone lit up in Istanbul. No message. Just an empty screen. But for some reason, she started crying. Back to Rome. Back to the crowd. Back to now. Can watched her disappear again, just like before. But something was different this time. Her eyes, just for a second, had betrayed her heart. She hadn't looked away in anger. She had looked away in pain. Maybe she never moved on. Maybe he never did either. But how do you fix something so broken? How do you rebuild after so much silence? There were still things unsaid. Still wounds open. Still love, maybe. He had to find out. He couldn't let her vanish again. Not this time. The city had changed, but their story hadn't. After Demet disappeared into the crowd that day, Can couldn't move. His legs were frozen, like his heart had anchored him to the pavement. All around him, the world kept moving, cars honking, tourists laughing, kids chasing pigeons. But for him, time was still. Then, slowly, he turned. And started walking. Not to follow her this time. to find himself. That night, he sat on his hotel room bed, phone in his hand, screen blank, as he whispered, almost to himself, "I can't do this anymore." Then, he typed her name. Demet. The last message they had exchanged was from over 5 months ago. A cold, polite take care. But now, he typed something new. "I saw you today." He didn't overthink it. He just hit send. And for the first time in months, he waited. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Then 2. He stared at the screen until it dimmed. No reply. He set the phone down and walked to the window. The lights of Rome glowed like stars across the streets. Somewhere in that maze, she was out there. And maybe she really didn't care anymore. But just as he turned away, buzz. His phone lit up. One message. From her. "I know." That was it. But it was enough. The next morning, he didn't hesitate. He walked to the cafe he had seen her pass the day before, near the fountain with the broken angel statue. He waited. And waited. Then, at 10:47 a.m., she walked in. Same white coat. Hair down this time. No makeup. Eyes tired. She spotted him instantly. She didn't turn around. Didn't leave. She walked up to him, sat down, and said nothing. Ken took a breath. "I didn't think you'd come." Demet looked out the window. "I didn't think you'd message me." They sat in silence for a moment. Not awkward, not forced. Just full. Full of the words they hadn't said, the nights they spent apart, the versions of each other they had both loved and hated. Finally, Demet spoke. "You think I cheated on you?" "No," Ken said quietly. "I thought you wanted someone else." "That's not the same thing." "I know." Demet leaned back. "That message from Arda, it meant nothing." "I didn't reply. I didn't feel anything." He nodded. "I was just scared," she continued. "Not of him. Of us." Can's brows furrowed. "Everything was too fast," she said. "The fame. The rumors. Us. I didn't know how to protect what we had without hiding it, or destroying it." Ken looked down. "I didn't trust you," he admitted. "I mean, I did. But then I didn't. And once that started, I didn't know how to stop." "That's the thing," she said. "Neither did I." Another silence. Then Demet leaned forward. "Why did you message me now?" He didn't answer at first. Then he said, "Because when I saw you yesterday, it felt like every version of me, every broken, bitter, lost version, stopped existing. Only the part that loved you remained." She blinked. Hard. "That part never really left," she whispered. The waiter came. Neither of them ordered. They didn't need anything. Not anymore. They spent the rest of the day walking. Through the streets of Rome. Through memories. Through wounds. They talked about everything. The early days. The laughs. The silence. The things they regretted. By sunset, they sat near the Tiber River. Demet turned to him. "You know they're going to find out." Ken smirked. "Let them. You'll be on the covers again. Headlines. Interviews. Speculation. I don't care." She paused. "So what now?" And that was the question, wasn't it? What now? They couldn't undo the past. But they could choose the future. Ken stood up. Held out his hand. She hesitated. Then, without a word, she took it. 1 week later, they were spotted together again, for the first time in over a year. At a book fair. No press. No crew. Just them, flipping through poetry books like two strangers falling in love for the first time. Fans posted blurry photos online. Is this real? Can and Demet back together? But the photo that went viral, the one that shocked everyone, was taken by a tourist. Can was standing behind Demet, arms wrapped gently around her waist, whispering something in her ear. And she was smiling, truly smiling. Not for the cameras. Not for the public. Just for him. Months passed. They didn't rush back into the spotlight. They healed. Together. And every now and then, when Can looked at her, in the middle of a crowd, on a movie set, or just across the dinner table, he would remember that day in Rome. The day he saw her. The day she didn't say a word. The day she looked away. And came back. Not because everything was perfect. But because sometimes, when two people are meant for each other, even silence speaks.